New video shows a glimpse of what life was like for WNBA star Brittney Griner inside Russian prison. She spent her days carrying fabric because she was too tall to sit at the sewing tables where other prisoners worked. Her bed was too small for her 6'9" frame. Griner was arrested back in February for traveling with hashish oil, a substance banned in Russia. She was sentenced to 9 years in prison in August. Her release part of a prisoner swap for Victor Bout, a convicted Russian arms dealer.
Hold on, Brittney Griner is currently under fire for abusing Caitlyn while incarcerated in a male Russian prison. Clark, this is a serious problem, not simply another sports narrative. Caitlyn Clark, America's sweetheart, was just elbowed on live television by the most controversial talent in the WNBA, but what happened next will shock. To your very core. It all boils down to who she is, and we will make it clear.
Apparently, Brittney Griner is, in fact, a man.
The league has been horrified by the information doctors are revealing about Barrier's medical background as they take control. Overall. We are talking about speech patterns and bone form.
It was nice to be back on court in a real game and everything.
She is terrified that this could be the biggest scandal because of Instagram videos and AI scans that shouldn't have been there. In the history of women's sports, keep checking back because what we discover could fundamentally change your preconceptions. Ideas regarding the WNBA. She identifies herself as Brittney Griner. Did the WNBA conceal it because they knew? Believe me, this is much more than just basketball. Let's revisit the moment that changed everything. The battle between Fever and Mercury was intense fight, but it soon became more personal than physical.
Caitlin Clark did not back down when the Atlanta Dream got chippy with her. Especially Ryan Howard was trying to get on Caitlin her nerves, but she kept cooking her. And they were face guarding her the entire game like she was prime Steph Curry.
There's a lot of bumping and like that. There's some words between the two players as Nas Hilton quickly.
And at the end of this altercation, you can clearly see Caitlin Clark say, "I'm not scared of you." And Howard continued to be provocative. And after Caitlin drew this offensive foul on Brittney Griner, it looked like she was pretty annoyed with her.
Brittney moved.
And here she gets clearly fouled, and again they were chirping at her afterwards.
Shooting 31, they came in the season. Ryan Howard, Caitlin Clark finding a way to...
And here Brittney Griner picked up her 6th foul and had to sit for the rest of the game. You could clearly see what she was saying.
Talking about earlier.
Brittney Griner is not just a villain. Through your screen, you could sense the tension building when Caitlin Clark tripped but said nothing. Social media didn't ignore the fact that she kept playing. She simply flung an elbow. And it wasn't one of those bumps in the heat of the game. Fans' fears were confirmed by lip readers when they started to concentrate on Guriner's face. Everyone understands that trash language occurs in basketball, but this went too far. More hazardous, something racial, something unsightly, and the league has not yet released a statement, a warning, or a penalty. On national television, the white girl Griner mouthed profanity in front of millions of viewers. This was something that fans would not tolerate. They didn't see it or want to deal with it, but the elbow was just the spark. People's subsequent discoveries expanded this story far beyond the basketball court, and the ensuing questions were too much to handle.
My first inclination is to say that this person is not a female. Firstly, because this was actually posted to Brittney's personal Instagram.
Alright. It begins to resemble a Netflix documentary at this point. Abruptly, specialists in sports medicine started to comment, and no, they weren't talking about Griner's playmaking or statistics. Instead, they were talking about her biology. Physicians, therapists, and even AI analysts began analyzing Griner's physical attributes, including her bones, shoulders, and the speed at which she heals from wounds. That's not common for a female, according to one specialist athlete, particularly not at this level.
As far as I understand, it's mostly women without penises, but I leave that to you to figure it. Well, it's actually a little unclear because this Brittney Griner, a lot of people think she's a dude, but in any event, Brittney Griner is a black basketball player who some people think is a man. I don't know. I guess she's a woman. Let's just say she's a woman. Here's a chick, a black chick. Brittney Griner's a fine player, I suppose. We'll get to that.
It wasn't animosity. It wasn't trolling. Instead, it was experts drawing attention to something that had been ignored or possibly even hidden. The public started to question if the league had ever really investigated Griner's WNBA eligibility, whether medical professionals had concerns, and whether the league ought to disregard them. Since everything in the modern world leaves a digital trace, let's talk about receipts. An old Griner Instagram story emerged, showing her without a top and without any blurring or surgical scars. Just for everyone to see up there. The fact that Instagram did not take it down is the worst part.
Brittney, let me see something real quick. Brick! Thank you. Get the fuck, get the hell out of here, yo. Jabbed up and hit the brick. Swing and miss.
Oh!
Yo, I ain't gonna fake it right now.
Swagger's down.
All right, we can stop.
The AI filters on Instagram are very good at spotting nudity, especially that of women. If you have any knowledge of them, however, this one continued to operate for over 2 years.
So let's talk about it, guys. Again, allegedly, it could be any number of things, but my first inclination is to say that this person is not a female. Firstly, because this was actually posted to Brittney's personal Instagram. And when it comes to Instagram, they use a combination of like AI detection and plus manual surveyors, but specifically the AI detection to make sure that no explicit content ends up on the platform. So clearly whatever AI detection system was used when Brittney posted this and it stayed up for 106 weeks was not like, oh, this is a bare female chest, we have to take this down. It obviously assumed that Brittney was male and therefore being topless on the platform was totally fine. It did not constitute as nude.
Consequently, it either failed to identify female anatomy or the algorithms were defective. Think about the AI system of. She was not acknowledged as female by a billion-dollar company. What can we infer from that? Can AI make errors? Yes, but do you have more faith in it than in a silent sports league? What's worse than a scandal, you know? This is starting to feel like a cover-up. The WNBA hasn't made any statements or provided any clarifications. Or expressed regret to Caitlin Clark. Imagine now that Caitlin had insulted Brittney and the roles had been reversed. And made a racial epithet, would the league say nothing?
She gets bodied, dude, like NFL linebacker style.
What? That is crazy.
Yeah. Look at this. Clock her ass, man.
Yeah, black women hate her.
Dude, I don't even see like LeBron get battered like this.
Yeah.
And he, like, somebody has bad breath and they breathe on him and he goes flying back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she actually spoke out for black women. There's a black women's league.
Yeah, she's like a leftist.
She's like a cuck for black women. Yeah, and they beat the crap out of her.
Well, that's what happens when you cuck out to people. They don't respect you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think she did it to hope to get the respect. Yeah. That is not going to work.
Look at this.
You get way too much attention. You making all this money and endorsements. They're jealous of you. She's like the face of that league.
Yeah, and she's the only person like really putting butts in the seats.
It is clear that the league is protecting its name, even if it means ignoring medical professionals and permitting a player such as Clark to accept responsibility. Furthermore, the silence is suspicious rather than just odd. Would you keep watching a league that puts up with this? Going back to the physicians, they completed a comprehensive checklist based on years of professional observation rather than in a laboratory. They looked at voice patterns, muscle composition, skeletal anatomy, and recovery rates. All of the evidence went to the same conclusion: this is not typical of a female professional athlete, and even her history of injuries raised suspicions. She recovers like an NFL linebacker, but most WNBA players need time to recover from physical strain. Because of this, healthcare providers are increasingly calling for thorough biological validation. Chromosome testing and bone density tests are used in hormone analysis because the importance of women's sports equity is not due to their desire to humiliate others.
He is a weird case. He's a man, yes, that much is obvious, but not in the way that you think. He isn't trans. He's a straight cis male who was raised as a girl and given a girl's name by his parents. His mother is the insane one. She forced him to live as a female right up through high school, filled out all of his paperwork, including BC as female, and kept the charade going. He played on girls' sports teams because his papers said he was a girl. He had to keep pretending in college, stay in women's teams, and now he just has to keep barely pretending to stay in the WNBA. But in all other ways, he lives life as a man. He wears men's clothes, dates and married a woman, has masculine features, and takes masculine roles. If not for his mother's insanity, he would be a mediocre male player in the NBA. And honestly, that may even be a little bit generous.
And this is not only about bruising and bones. All athletes ought to compete on an even playing field, right? Mental health specialists have also intervened, and what they see is frightening. That elbow, that obscenity. According to some, it has to do with identity tension and living two different lives while concealing something important. Unfortunately, Caitlin Clark became the outlet when that pressure builds up over time and explodes. Imagine yourself now as Caitlin, a rookie phenom who is leading the league and is attacked by a seasoned player in front of millions of people. What message does that convey to other young female athletes? What culture does the WNBA have? Cultivating if this is what it safeguards, let's discuss the actual consequences. If all of this medical discussion is. It's true that Griner's biology doesn't comply with women's sports regulations, this isn't only a contentious issue. It might be a scam. Can you picture losing your college scholarship or Olympic spot to an ineligible competitor? That's not just unjust. It's the end of a career for some athletes. Attorneys are already conjecturing that a wave of lawsuits may result from this, and if the WNBA was aware of it, it would raise a whole other legal mess within a.
I feel sorry for him because all of his success depends on him maintaining the lie he's lived with for his whole life. Of course, Russia gives zero shits and will treat him as the male he is. Maybe it'll be a refreshing change from him. And this is with, of course, reference to the fact that there was some speculation that Brittney Griner was actually put in a male.
Swimming, soccer, and Olympic committees are among the several sports groups that are actually following this issue. Because if the WNBA is connected to such a big controversy, all women's sports will have to address the same problems. What is meant by eligibility? How is justice upheld? How do you keep the trust of your fans? If the league disregards it, it conveys the idea that image is more important to us than honesty. This could establish a precedent. Do you believe this will change the overall management of women's sports? The WNBA has been working hard, let's be honest, over years in order to break attendance records, get some attention, cultivate a fan following, and demonstrate the authenticity of the product. This debacle loses a key player just as things are beginning to improve. Perhaps Brittney Griner was hiding both the league crickets and her biological advantages when she was seen elbowing the league's largest rising star. It's a tragedy rather than only a horrible appearance, and nothing comparable has happened.
The reason why is because, let me tell you something right now, I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balls. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing. Ended up as an all-star, ended up being fourth in the league in MVP voting, was the clear winner for Rookie of the Year. No competition whatsoever in that regard when it was really all said and done. We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now, the young white girl comes along, and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark, it's about what she represents. My point is,
become an adult, but this is more than simply a scandal. It is a ticking time bomb that has the potential to destroy the WNBA. Has been constructing years of progress could be undone by a single controversy if it is handled poorly. That momentum has vanished. And for what purpose? Look, this is not the end of the narrative. We've heard the insult, seen the elbow, and seen the Instagram footage. The AI stuff is crazy, medical professionals are speaking out, and Griner is completely silent, not even tweeting. Let me be honest with you, she's either praying that this goes away or working behind the scenes as an attorney. People are concerned, sponsors are starting to express their concerns, players are muttering in secret, and fans are furious. Not to mention that the future of women's sports is in jeopardy. Will the WNBA eventually put an end to it? Is it better to remain silent, launch a thorough investigation, or intensify efforts in the hopes that everyone will simply forget? If you think that justice is important, truth, and supporting women's sports, please click the like button and share your opinions in the comment section, since this isn't only drama is more important than basketball, and we're not done yet, so make sure to subscribe.